Welcome to the Roar of Judah. Our mission is to hear God's voice above the noise of this world. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mike.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Roar of Judah Show. I'm your host, Dr. Mike. In Scripture, Philippians 4:6-7 tells us, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and minds in Christ Jesus." And for those of us that experience anxiety, sometimes when you read that verse, it can cause frustration. Sometimes you can feel guilty. Sometimes you can feel like, I must not be a very good Christian because of my anxiety. I had all those thoughts and more when anxiety had completely taken over my life. So I have two goals for the show today. Goal number one, I want to share my story and what I went through and what I dealt with and how anxiety had completely run my life. And the second thing, I want to provide hope for you and those of you who may be dealing with some anxiety and some ways that how I overcame my anxiety and how I'm currently helping thousands of others do the same. So if we back up, my story begins when I was a sophomore in college. It was spring semester. It was finals week. I was always a really, really good student. So academics was just never hard for me. So went through all high school with all A's, mostly A's, a couple B's along the way. And, college, when I went there, it was not hard. I never had to stay up all night to study for a test, and just could memorize things very quickly. And, God just gifted me with a brain that can handle academics fairly well. So I was at my last final. It was for biology. And for my biology class, there was probably about 150 students in the class. So we're in this little auditorium where almost like a theater where the desk pulls up at your seat and you sit down. So I go in, that's my last final before summer break. And summer break, my dream was always to be like a Christian illusionist. And I wanted to use my talent to do silly little magic tricks, to travel around and, be able to present the gospel to people. And, my dream for that summer kind of came true because I got hired at a resort to do several magic shows every single week. So I couldn't wait to get through this final. I couldn't wait to go home for the summer and get to do magic shows all summer long. So I go in and I'm sitting in my seat, ready to take my biology final. Now, this biology class was not a hard class. It wasn't something, again, I had to stay up and study all night for. It was going to be an easy way for me to just get an A and just had to go finish this test. So I go in there and I sit down, and the person that they had to come proctor the test, as we're waiting, said, if you need to use the restroom or if you need to leave the room for any reason, do it now, because once I hand out the test, nobody's allowed to leave the room until they're done. And I did not think much of that until the test came out. And I start my test. And as I'm going through my test, I start to feel like a little lightheaded. And it almost felt like the walls of the room were slowly closing in on me. And I'm trying to figure out what I should do. Should I go tell this person giving the test that I don't feel well and I need some fresh air? Should I just hurry up and fill in a bunch of answers and leave the room? And so I'm wrestling with all these thoughts. And as I'm wrestling with these thoughts, my symptoms keep getting worse and worse. So I start to feel more and more dizzy. I'm starting to feel nauseous. I'm feeling lightheaded. I'm starting to feel short of breath. My chest is starting to hurt a little bit, and my heart's racing. And and as I'm wrestling with these thoughts, the symptoms just got worse and worse until it got to the point where I knew I need to get up and I need to leave and I need to do it now. So I get up and I go outside, and I figure we'll figure out how to take care of all the details of this exam later. And so I go outside and breathing in some fresh air, kind of pacing around, trying to feel better, and nothing seems to be working. And pretty soon I see some of the students are starting to leave because they're done with their tests, and eventually the person who was assigned to give the tests has all the tests in his hands, and he leaves as well. So I knew, okay, this test is over, and again, the way I was feeling, didn't really care. I just knew something's wrong and I need to do something about it. So I started to walk back to my dorm room, and what would normally be about a 10-minute walk probably took me about 45 minutes, because I would walk so far and I would start to feel dizzy, start to feel nauseous. I'd have to sit on the side and kind of wait until the feelings got a little bit better. Then I'd walk a little bit more. Then I'd have to sit down again. Eventually, I make it back to my dorm room and I call home. And so my mom and dad, I had a car on campus, but definitely couldn't drive home. So my mom and dad drive down, and one of them drives me home. One of them drives my car home. And as we're driving home, as I grew up, my mom always worked as like a billing specialist for a doctor's office. And, when I was growing up, in some ways that was a blessing. On the other hand, I could never pretend I was sick, to have like a day off to play video games or, just hang around home and watch The Price is Right and stuff on TV, because if I was sick, my mom just took me to work with her. But in cases like this, when you truly were sick and needed to see a doctor, you had quick access. So the next day I just go with my mom, I go to the doctor's office, he kind of checks me out and says, you probably picked up some kind of virus on campus. Go home, rest. If you don't feel better in a couple days, come on back. So I remember going home and going into my bedroom, and I remember the sunlight would just make me feel way worse, and would almost put me in panic mode, the bright lights. And so I remember sitting at home, I shut the curtains of my bedroom, and then I put a blanket over top of the curtains, so it was nice and dark in the room. And I would sit there, and out my window I could hear my friends playing basketball, throwing a football around in the street, and desperately wanting to go out there and do those things with them, and just not feeling up to it. But a couple days go by and nothing is getting any better, so I go back, and the doctor runs some blood work tests to check on a few things. All that comes back as normal, and still not feeling well. And so he has me do an MRI in my brain to check if there's something serious wrong, some kind of tumor, MS, something like that, and that comes back okay. And again, I'm laying in my bed in a dark room, blanket over the curtains, and just not able to interact with my friends. My dream job of doing magic shows, I still was not able to go perform, and really just sat there by myself alone in a cool, dark room. And so the next step, the doctor sent me to a specialist clinic in downtown Pittsburgh. It was like a balance center where they check your inner ear and things, when people's just dizzy and the way I was feeling. So I go there, and that was one of the worst days of my life. I remember them putting me in these chairs that spun around and doing all these funny visual things with lights that just made my symptoms worse and worse and worse. So I spent a whole day, taking bad symptoms that I already had and making them worse, and driving home and just being so miserable. I remember the balance center then calling and leaving a message saying, we think we know what's wrong. Come on back down and we'll discuss everything that we found. And I remember, Pittsburgh was about a 2-hour drive, and I remember making that drive and kind of sitting in the car wondering, what could be wrong with me? Am I dying? All my dreams and future, are none of those ever going to come true? And so we get there, and I remember sitting in this doctor's office, and the doctor saying, we checked every single one of the ones testing that we had done, and everything comes out clear. Everything looks good physically. We're 99% sure that you have some kind of anxiety disorder. And when he said that, part of me was relieved that, okay, I don't have anything that, he didn't tell me I only have 6 months to live or something like that. But on the other hand, it was almost with anxiety, I wish I could just, if it was physical, maybe I could just take a pill and everything would get better. But with anxiety, it almost sounded okay, this is going to be a bigger battle And, I'm going to have to try and figure out how to overcome what I'm dealing with. And the doctor's suggestion was, we're going to give you some medication, and we're also going to set you up with some therapy in your area. So we go off, and, when we get home, we go to the pharmacy, we get the medication, I take the pills, and it started to give me tremors. So my hands were literally just shaking back and forth, and I could not stop them. It almost felt like my brain was on fire, or it was like vibrating, and it was such a miserable, probably 4 or 5 hours. And the very next morning, we call back down there, we tell the doctor what happened, and that this medication is not helping, it's making things worse. And the doctor said, okay, what I want you to do is double the dose. Instead of taking 1 pill, take 2 pills. And I thought, this guy must be completely insane. And I took the pills, I threw them in the trash, because you know what? If 1 pill makes me shake like this, 2 pills probably going to put me over the edge. It's going to put me in the grave. And there's no way I'm going to take 2 pills. All right, now that I'm in this field, I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I work with psychiatrists, and I see them all the time telling patients to double the dose. I can't tell you how many times I've seen doubling the dose takes the side effects away, and you actually get the benefit of the medication. But that was not explained to us. And, in my logical brain, it was like, if I take 2 of these, everything's going to be twice as worse. So that was, the medication thing was just out the door. So then I go to my therapy appointment, and I remember the guy, it's Carl Rogers, kind of like a dynamic approach. And what he's trying to do is figure out what happened to me when I was just a little boy that was making me feel the way that I feel today. What happened when I was like 3 to 6 years old? Did somebody close to me pass away? Was I abused in some way? And, I was blessed with a really good childhood. I have a great mom, I have a great dad, and, siblings got along. Grandma lived right across the street. I had some pets and stuff that passed away, and, distant relatives, but never went through any like major trauma. So for 2 sessions, going to this therapist, it was like pulling teeth, trying to figure out, okay, what happened to me when I was 6 years old that is making me feel the way that I do today? And, after 2 sessions and knowing that there's just nothing for me to explore, I remember saying, well, like, I'm not going back. Like, it's a waste of time. It's not helping. Like, and I assumed every single therapist was like this, and every therapy session was like this. So out the window goes the medication. Out the window goes the therapy sessions. I'm sitting in my room, blanket over the curtains, and still just not feeling any better, and just getting really, really desperate for something to change. Now, I never wanted to hurt myself, or never wanted to do anything, but I knew in this condition, I'm never going to get married. I'm never going to have a family. I'm never going to get to follow my dreams. I'm never going to have any kind of life. And so I need to figure out something. I need to do something. Something needs to change, and it needs to change now. And so one of the things that I would do is at night, I would watch some of the funny talk shows at the end of the night. So I think David Letterman would come on, and after David Letterman would be Arsenio Hall. And, those of you who are over the age of 40 might remember this. But back in the day, for some reason, it was illegal, or they couldn't broadcast anything on TV from like 1 in the morning until like 5 in the morning. So every night at like 1 in the morning, the national anthem would come on. And like after the national anthem would play, the TV would just go fuzzy and wouldn't be back on. So since I really had nothing else to do and I couldn't work, I remember at night, I'd watch the David Letterman show, then I'd watch Arsenio Hall, and then every night right before the national anthem and going off the air, they would broadcast some kind of infomercial. So the new Wonder Mouth, the new car wax, whatever the latest and greatest product is. And so one night, I'm praying like crazy. Like, God, you need to step in, and you need to do something, and you need to help me overcome this anxiety, because I can't do this on my own. And, in my desperation, on comes this TV commercial. And it's a lady, and she starts talking about her anxiety disorder and how this anxiety disorder had taken over her life, how she couldn't function anymore. She had to quit her job. She couldn't take care of her kids well. She wasn't being a good wife. And anxiety just completely had overtaken her life. And she found freedom. And she found healing. And then she had all these people on this infomercial that kept coming on and giving a little part of their story about how they would feel dizzy, how they would feel nauseous, like, how anxiety had ruined their life. And they got this program, and this program just changed their life and just made them able to function again, made them get their jobs back, their family back, their life back. And I knew in that moment, I need to get this program. I got to get this program. And so I remember wanting to go at 1 a.m. and wake my mom up and say, hey, here's the phone number, order this thing for me, please. And but I waited till the next morning, and we did call. We ordered this program to come. And way back then in the 1990s, this is on cassette tapes. And I remember as I'm waiting for that program to arrive, thinking to myself, if this thing tells me to go out in the middle of the street and bark like a dog, I'm going to go out in the middle of the street and I'm going to bark like a dog, because I have no other hope. All my hope and all my everything that I has relies on this program helping me in some way. And so that program came, and I actually at the college, I'm a psychology professor now and help a lot of future counselors. But in my office, I still have that program sitting on my bookshelf and the cassette tapes. They're very, very worn out because I sat in my bedroom and I listened to those tapes over and over and over and over again. And that program helped me out fairly quickly. I would say within 3 weeks, I was probably about 70% better. And then, the last 30% was kind of like it's almost like if you want to lose 50 pounds, sometimes the first 20, 25 will come off pretty easy. The next 5 to 10, it's a little bit of work, but not quite as bad. And then, that last 10, 15 pounds can really be a killer. And, but I got to the point where I was able to do several shows in the summer. I was able to get back to college in the fall. And, in a lot of ways, that was the thing God sent my way, that without that, I have no idea where I'd be in life. Now, I've continued to follow my dream. I spent 7 years as a Christian performer. I traveled all over the country. I've done shows for freshman orientations at colleges with 8,000 students in the arena or wherever I'm performing. And if you would have told me back in 1995, when I'm laying in my bed with the curtains closed and a blanket over my bed, or a blanket over the curtains, if you would have told me back then that someday I'd be standing in front of 8,000 people, doing a show, doing a presentation, I would have said you're nuts. But, I would have said, what are you talking about? I'm not going to be standing in front of 8,000 people. My anxiety is too strong, it's too powerful, it's just not going to happen. But God gave me a way, God showed me a way out, and, I took advantage of that. And since then, because God has blessed me, God has helped me overcome my anxiety, really that's been a lot of my life's work. I went into graduate school, and, as a licensed professional counselor, the most patients that tend to come our way are ones that deal with drug and alcohol, had some kind of history of trauma, and then anxiety and depression. Now, to this date, I've still never even tasted beer. I have no idea what alcohol tastes like. I've been able to help some people with some issues with alcohol or drugs, but I have no idea what it feels like to go through a withdrawal, because I've never touched alcohol, never touched drugs. Also, as I shared earlier, trauma, I've never experienced that, never gone through it. Now, I know the theory behind it, and I've helped people with it and help people work through it, and even have a little system that I created on my own, but I still never walked in those shoes and don't know exactly what that feels like. But the one thing that I do understand I understand anxiety because I walked in those shoes. And when somebody tells me that they're dealing with a panic attack, or when somebody tells me that they have to take a day off work, or somebody tells me they feel like they need to quit their job, or their marriage is falling apart, or their life is falling apart, I've been there. I've walked in those shoes. And, I know exactly how that feels, and also how to help those people. So I've actually created my own program. It's called Freedom from Anxiety. And I first created that all the way back in 2004. I hadn't even gone to graduate school yet. I wasn't a licensed counselor, but I knew the skills that had helped me and how to help other people. So even before I was a counselor, I was helping people with anxiety. Once I became a professional counselor, that's all I specialize in. So that program has been refined and updated several times. Back when the pandemic started and everything kind of went remote and anxiety was shooting through the roof, as a professional counselor, I was getting 300 to 400 requests for appointments every single week. And obviously I couldn't handle those and I couldn't do those. So I created a program called Freedom from Anxiety. And in this program, it goes through everything that your anxiety could possibly be coming from. From how to handle panic attacks, how to address symptoms, how to target your negative thoughts, how to stop the worry cycle, even diet and exercise, spiritual disciplines, and skill. There's so much stuff in there. And whatever it is that you're dealing with anxiety, this program is going to address it. So this program, if you're interested, you can actually find it in the store. If you go to my website, www.roarofjudahshow.com, in there you'll find a link that says store. If you click on that, you'll see the Freedom from Anxiety program highlighted. You'll be able to see a promo video for it. And from when it first sold to today, it's 90% off. So I just really want to help people. It started at $199. Now it's $19.99. And I'm going to tell you something. If you made it this far in this podcast or this YouTube video, wherever you're listening to this from, if you want access to this and you just can't afford it, maybe you were like me and you couldn't work and you had to quit your job, and $20 is a lot of money, please email me. roarofjudahshow@gmail.com. If you email me, I will give you this program completely free. Now, if you can't afford it, it helps. I'm paying for different platforms like Opus Pro. I'm paying for Buzzsprout and different ways to get these videos out. I also promote some of these to be able to help. So the money that I do take in isn't going to be really a profit for me. It's going to help me just keep this ministry and this channel going. But again, I don't want anybody to go without. So if this program can help you and you can't afford it, just email me and I will get it to you at no cost. The other thing you would see on my site, if you're interested, I just released my first book. It's Freedom from Anxiety. It's a 90-day devotional. So it goes great hand in hand with the Freedom from Anxiety program. So in the program, again, there's 15 sessions and it's designed for you to watch one video a week. And in that, with the video and the workbook, there's practical steps that you take throughout the week and things that you practice, new coping skills, new ways to look at the world, new ways to think. Remember my very first group, I've done this program in several groups with 8 people at a time. My very first group that I did that had tremendous success, they said this program really should be called Retraining the Brain because it sets up your thought process and your patterns in a whole new way. But you watch one video a week over the course of 15 weeks, you practice all the skills. And my brand new book, the Freedom from Anxiety 90-Day Devotional, it's a perfect companion to go along with this while you're doing the video. And every night, there's just one short page that you read that kind of helps you along in the program as well. So on my website, there's like a ebook version. It's only $4.99. If you want a hard copy of it, just search on Amazon. Probably Freedom from Anxiety with Dr. Mike is probably going to lead you to that book. And I believe it's $14.99 for the hard copy that they'll actually send to your house. But again, all these resources I want to make completely available to you. And I know God has helped me find freedom in all this. And my desire is for each and every one of you to find freedom as well. Thanks so much for watching this episode of the Roar of Judah Show with Dr. Mike. I hope you were inspired and encouraged to grow in your own faith. Please follow us online. We're on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, your favorite podcast platform, all under Roar of Judah Show. Also, we'd love to hear from our viewers. Leave a comment. If you want to email us, we're roarofjudahshow@gmail.com. You can also visit us online. The website is www.roarofjudahshow.com. On there, there's a link to our online store. I'm a licensed professional counselor. I specialize in anxiety treatment. You can find my Freedom from Anxiety video program that's already helped thousands of people. Also, I have a 90-day Freedom from Anxiety devotional book. We also have all kinds of merchandise to help you share your faith, and I hope you'll check that out. We also believe that we all have a story that declares God's glory. If you'd like to be a guest on this show, we'd love to have you. On the website, towards the bottom, there's a little form that you can fill out, and we would love to hear your story. So may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May his face shine upon you as you let your light shine so others would see your good deeds and worship your Father in heaven. This is Dr. Mike signing off. Until next time.